No. Don't touch me. Just calm me down for a second.
Chill. Stop it.
Did you know that according to the United States Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, an average of 4,000 children are arrested every year in the US? Shocking, isn't it? But what's even more disturbing is that many of these kids were arrested for just being kids and doing what kids should do. However, there are also a few of them who got what they really deserved. So, today, we'll be going over some of the most epic moments when kids were arrested by cops, and we'll let you be the judge for each of the cases. The first case we have on the list is that of a 6-year-old who was arrested at his school. You see, when considering children, the usual image that comes to mind differs from the one Clearwater mom Taisha Harmon is grappling with. Our initial encounter with Harmon took place in March following an incident at Belcher Elementary School where a school resource officer attempted to handcuff her 7-year-old son.
And I still don't have like a clear kind of understanding of exactly step by step what happened in that situation. You know, he showed me his wrist and I was like, well, who cut you? And he was like, the handcuffs. And I was like, well, what handcuffs? Because nobody said anything to me about handcuffs.
According to the report from Pinellas County School Police, Harmon's son faced trouble during recess, exhibiting behavior like scratching, kicking, and hitting, which led to the officer's fall. Subsequently, the officer described attempting to roll him onto his stomach and handcuff him.
It should never get to a point where he needs to be handcuffed. It's like, you do that to criminals. He's 7. He's not a criminal. Like, he's a kid. How much damage can he really do?
Harmon's son was detained rather than arrested. Upon investigation by the I-Team into the 2018 data from the State Department of Juvenile Justice, the most recent year available, it was discovered that 125 Florida children aged 9 and below were arrested, with the majority facing felony charges. The examined data even included cases of 5 6-year-olds and a 5-year-old arrested for aggravated assault and battery. Next is the arrest of a 6-year-old Kaya Role, an incident that garnered national attention. The footage captured by a police body camera during a September 2019 arrest at an Orlando charter school portrays the little girl with her hands restrained using zip ties in response to a reported temper tantrum. The little girl kept pleading and asking for a last chance as the officers took her away. Now, it's noteworthy that the arrest itself is not considered illegal. This is because, unlike 22 other states, Florida does not enforce a minimum age requirement for arrests. During the last session, prompted by Kaya's arrest in his district, State Senator Randolph Bracy endeavored to bring about a change in this regard.
It would prohibit kids under 12 from being arrested. Some lawmakers that feel like a 7-year-old could be a threat. We need to change that law. It's pretty plain and simple.
However, the Florida Association of School Resource Officers contends that the matter is not as straightforward as it may seem.
Do you think Florida should join other states that make it clear this is the minimum age of arrest?
You know, when you start putting a minimum on something, you know, what if we can what if this to death, but I'll bring this. What if Susie brings a knife to school and she's not of the age to, and she starts shooting people, but she doesn't make the minimum age to arrest?
Commander Dale Tharp said the option to arrest needs to be there, but emphasized that an officer's job is to keep kids out of jail.
We're not the enemy. We're not the enemy.
Next, we have the 10-year-old boy who was put in cuffs for threatening a fellow student with guns just a few days after a Texas school massacre. The video was shocking as it showed a 10-year-old boy from Florida getting taken away by the police in handcuffs. Then, things got even more surprising when they released his mugshots even though he was just a kid. The reason for his arrest was because the police said he sent threatening messages only 4 days after a bad incident at a school in Uvalde, Texas. The boy, named Daniel Marquez, who was in 5th grade, sent a picture of 4 assault rifles to a friend and texted, "I bout this." Later, he sent another text saying, "Get ready for Water Day," which is a fun event for students with good grades. As you would expect, the friend's dad got worried, contacted law enforcement, and soon the 10-year-old was in trouble, and his picture was all over the news.
To me, heartbreaking and very confusing.
That was Daniel's dad, Derek Marquez, who was a former Army veteran, and he said Daniel had never gotten in trouble before. He said his son acted in ignorance because he didn't fully understand the implications of the messages he sent.
Do you understand, does Daniel understand that sending these messages after what we saw in Texas just seems like a huge mistake?
I don't think Daniel really understood the the gravity of the situation.
Now, after 11 days, Daniel is still kept in a juvenile detention center near Naples, Florida. The local sheriff, Carmine Marcino, defends what he did even though Daniel is so young. He says he shared the photo to send a strong message.
Do you stand by this arrest?
100% I stand behind this arrest.
But Daniel's attorney, Letitia Kim, thinks differently.
What was done by Sheriff Marcino was part of his larger political agenda. He has made it clear that he is the law and order sheriff. What we have here is fake law and order and real consequences to defenseless children, such as Daniel.
Now let's look at the case of a 9-year-old boy who was arrested at his school, Needham Elementary School in Indiana, USA. His name is Devin Shepard, and he is a 4th grader. He had a fight with a classmate who was bullying him during recess, and a teacher got injured while trying to stop them. The school called Devin's father, but they also decided to call the authorities and have Devin arrested. Devin was in tears as he was taken away by the cops, and he told his dad, "Bye, Dad. Love you." His dad was furious as he recorded the whole incident. What makes this even worse is that Devin has autism, and he was only defending himself from the bully. But the school and the officers didn't care about that, and they charged him with 2 crimes, battery and criminal mischief. Many people were outraged by this and said that the school and the authorities went overboard. They said Devin was just a kid who was trying to stand up for himself, and he ended up being arrested. It's shocking that the officers would do that to a 9-year-old boy in front of his dad. What do you think? Was the school and authorities' action justified, or did they go too far? While you think about that, let's look at the case of this kid who engaged in a gun battle with law enforcement officers. This kid might seem like he's just waiting for a scolding from the school principal, but in reality, he's facing serious criminal charges at the station. This is Travis O'Brien, a 12-year-old boy from Florida. He was involved in a tense standoff with the law enforcement officers, during which he fired at them. Travis and his friend Nicole Jackson, who was 14 years old, had escaped from a facility for troubled youths. They then broke into someone's house and stole various weapons, including a handgun, 2 shotguns, and an assault rifle. The authorities were alerted and arrived at the scene in large numbers. A standoff ensued for 30 minutes, which escalated into a violent exchange of gunfire. Fortunately, no one was injured in the incident. After 30 minutes, Travis gave up and came out of the house with his hands up, surrendering to the officers. He was then arrested and sentenced for his multiple crimes. Because of his young age, he received a lenient sentence, but he still had to spend 9 years in prison, which means he will be out by the time he turns 21. It is shocking what these very young kids did. We are thankful that neither the cops nor the kids were harmed, but this situation could have easily had a tragic outcome. Moving on, let's look at the case of 2 young boys who got caught stealing and vandalizing in Las Vegas. The incident happened on a day when Officer Jason Valad was on duty. He received a report that 2 kids were shoplifting and damaging property in a nearby store. He quickly arrived at the scene and found a boy named Dakota and his friend, who were the suspects. He saw Dakota trying to take a Red Bull can without paying and stopped him right away. He then started questioning Dakota, who broke down in tears and confessed that he had also smashed a window of another store. Officer Valad searched Dakota and found a lighter that he had also stolen. He decided to handcuff Dakota and put him in the back of his patrol vehicle. Dakota's friend was so scared that he spilled everything to Officer Valad and told him about all the crimes that Dakota had committed. After a while, Dakota's mom showed up to get him, and she was very angry and disappointed. Dakota was only 11 years old when this happened, but now he is 24. We hope that Officer Valad's intervention helped him change his ways and that he gave up his short-lived and unsuccessful career as a criminal. Next up is the case of a young boy who faced a shocking consequence for his bad behavior. The boy's name is Sean Hill, and he lives in the state of Georgia in the United States of America. Sean had a habit of acting out at school and home, causing trouble for his teachers and his mother. His mother, Chiquita, was fed up with his rudeness, disrespect, and lack of discipline, so she decided to take a drastic measure to teach him a lesson. She called the local authorities and requested them to arrest her son as a way of scaring him into behaving better. To her surprise, the officers agreed to cooperate with her plan. Chiquita explained that she wanted to shock her son out of his bad attitude, and the photos of the incident show that she succeeded. Sean was terrified when the officer handcuffed him and put him in the back of their car. He burst into tears and begged for mercy. Chiquita told the officers that Sean had been neglecting his schoolwork, talking back to her and his teachers, and not following any rules. The officers gave Sean a stern lecture about the importance of being respectful and responsible, and then they released him back to his mother. Chiquita hoped that this experience would make Sean change his ways, but not everyone agreed with her method. Some people criticized her for going too far and traumatizing her son. They argued that there were better ways to discipline a child than involving the authorities. What do you think? Was Chiquita's idea a good one or not? Moving on is the case of an 11-year-old girl who faced legal consequences for sending a prank text to the authorities in Florida, USA. The girl, whose name has not been disclosed, decided to play a joke on the authorities by texting them that her friend was in danger. She claimed that her friend had been abducted by unknown assailants, but in reality, there was no such kidnapping and her friend was safe. The girl thought it was a harmless prank, but she did not realize the gravity of her actions. The officers took the text seriously and launched a search operation for the missing friend. They wasted their time and resources on a false alarm. When they found out that the text was a hoax, they tracked down the girl and arrested her. The girl was handcuffed and taken to the station. The body cam footage showed her crying and apologizing for her mistake. She said she would never do it again. She was charged with making a false report, which is a serious offense that can result in a felony conviction. However, since she was only 11 years old, the authorities decided to give her a warning and let her go. They hoped that she learned her lesson and understood the consequences of lying to law enforcement officers. Next is a case that happened on July 9, 2021, when cops detained 3 teenagers in Providence, Rhode Island. On that day, 3 teenagers were arrested by the authorities after a long chase involving a BB gun. The disturbing arrest was captured in several videos that have been made public. In this particular video, you can see Officer Domingo Diaz physically assaulting a juvenile who was already handcuffed and lying on the ground. Another officer had to intervene and pull him away from the victim, but he returned and spat on the kid. The authorities confirmed that one of the suspects was taken to the hospital that night for treatment. A crowd of bystanders witnessed the arrest and pleaded with the authorities to stop the violence. Although there were many officers present at the scene, only 2 of them, Domingo Diaz and Mitchell Voyer, have been suspended with pay, while an investigation is underway. They were accused of using excessive force during the arrest. The mayor of Providence, Jorge Elorza, commented on the incident saying,
"I fully support the suspension of these 2 officers, taking their guns away, taking them off the streets, and holding them accountable."
The president of the Providence Police Union, Michael Amonde, issued a statement in defense of the officers. He said that the investigation should be thorough and fair before any judgment is made on their actions. He also said that the videos show the end of a long and dangerous chase, in which the teenagers pointed a BB gun at civilians and law enforcement officers from a convertible car. According to the Boston Globe, the chase resulted in over 770 police radio calls. The teenagers, who are aged 15 and 16, were charged with 2 counts of felony assault with a deadly weapon and conspiracy. However, their names have not been disclosed because they are minors, and no charges have been filed against the officers so far. Moving on is the case that sparked public outrage after body cam footage revealed that a 9-year-old student was handcuffed for 13 minutes inside his own classroom. The incident occurred on February 2nd of this year at a school in Oviedo, Florida.
Just calm me down for a second.
Chill. Stop it.
The body cam footage shows that 2 Oviedo law enforcement officers were summoned to Stenstrom Elementary School to deal with a disruptive child. The child can be seen throwing paper and books around the floor while staff members try to calm him down.
This is one of those situations, man. This is why I can't be an SRO.
One of the officers, Moncado, approaches the child to try to calm him down, but the child curses while getting physical with the officers. The staff members use a blue punching bag to shield themselves from the child's kicks. The other officer, Mosley, arrives at the scene and decides to handcuff the child, claiming that he is concerned for the safety of others in the room. The footage also shows that the child repeatedly struck the officers as they restrained him. Even after being handcuffed, the child continues to scream obscenities. The report from the authorities stated that the handcuffs were loosely hung around the child's wrist, but prevented him from freeing his hands as he continued struggling to free himself. A few minutes later, Officer Moncado also tries to persuade the child to calm down so he can remove the cuffs.
You're throwing things. You're putting everyone in. You need to hear it.
Stop pulling.
Stop!
Stop pulling.
Ow!
Stop picking at my hand.
Just relax. If you relax, we can talk to you and you can take it off. That's why you're not going anywhere. You can relax, we can take the cuffs off, but you're literally endangering everybody here by hitting everybody. And they don't come to work to get beat up.
One of the teachers also calmly spoke to the child gently, which seemed to have a soothing effect on him. Officer Mosley then releases the child from the handcuffs. The authorities say that they were able to escort the child to the guidance counselor's office shortly after that, but the child's parents are now suing the authorities for the incident. They claim that the incident caused severe harm and worsened the child's existing behavioral condition. The family's lawyer issued a statement to the local media, saying that officers should never handcuff 9-year-old children and that the city of Oviedo failed to reach out to the family to make any effort to address the unfortunate situation. Moving on, this is the case when a New Jersey man calls the officers on a 9-year-old girl spraying for bugs outside. The incident occurred in October 2022, when Gordon Lawshe, a resident of Caldwell, New Jersey, dialed the non-emergency number and reported what he described as a little black woman spraying stuff on the sidewalks and trees.
There's a little black woman walking and spraying stuff on the sidewalks and trees.
He seemed to be unaware that the person he was referring to was actually a child, his next-door neighbor's daughter for that matter.
I don't know what the hell she's doing. It scares me though.
The officers responded to the call and arrived at the scene, where they found a 9-year-old girl who was spraying for lantern flies. Lantern fleas are an invasive species that pose a threat to the native trees and plants in New Jersey. At the time of this incident, the state had launched a campaign called Stomp It Out, which encourages people to kill these pests and protect the environment.
What's that? Oh, what are you using, the sponsor? You're trying to catch him?
As the officer was talking to the girl, her mother, Monique Joseph, came out of the house and approached them.
Someone just called in and said that she was alone spraying something on the grass.
She's catching
I see that.
The officer told Joseph that her daughter was not doing anything wrong and that she was free to spray for bugs.
Does he not live across the street from me? And I thought, wow, he's doing this book. Yeah, somebody else helped us.
He explained that he had to write a report because of the call, and he asked for Joseph's information. He was shocked to discover that Joseph and her daughter lived right across the street from Lawshe, the caller.
What's your address?
12 Elizabeth.
12?
Right there.
Okay.
Yes, I'm saying we are.
You're obviously next door neighbors.
The girl then asked the officer if she was in trouble, and he assured her that she was not. He instead praised her for helping the state with the Stomp It Out campaign.
No, you're not in trouble.
How many did you kill? How many trees did you save?
They're bad.
Lawshe's attorney later said that his client had apologized to Joseph and her daughter for his mistake, but that he had also received threats and racist accusations from some people. Joseph and her daughter spoke at a city council meeting, where they expressed their feelings about the incident. They said that racism, whether intentional or not, is still racism, and that it needs to be addressed and eliminated. Next up is the 15-year-old high school student who was taken into custody at his residence in Volusia County, Florida, on Friday after he allegedly posted an online threat to carry out a massacre.
Go ahead and turn around. Put your hands on your back. He's under arrest currently for making a threat to cause a mass shooting / act of terrorism.
Using the alias Dalton Barnhart, the teen wrote in a chat room of the video game Minecraft that,
I, Dalton Barnhart, vow to bring my father's M15 to school and kill 7 people.
When officers arrived at his home to arrest him, the teen's mother told them that her son was just a little kid playing a video game and that he did not deserve to be treated like a terrorist for making a joke.
Yeah, but he shouldn't be treated as though he is a terrorist or something because he made a silly statement on a stupid video game.
Detective Brian Howard countered the mother's argument by saying,
how do we know he's not going to be the kid from Parkland? He's not going to be the next kid, the kid that shot up Sandy Hook. We don't know that.
The Volusia County Sheriff's Office on Monday released body camera footage of the teen's arrest as a warning, saying, jokes or not, these types of comments are felonies under the law.
So, he'll be going to DJJ.
What's that?
The juvenile jail. He'll be placed in there for several days, and we're going to go from there. The charge is a felony. It might be a 2nd or 3rd degree. I have to double check because a written threat to harm somebody is a 3rd degree felony. 2nd degree is when you involve a mass shooting in a school.
The video showing the exchange between the officer and the teen's mother is being shared widely amid a spate of arrests for threats of massacres across the country following the recent massacres in Texas and Ohio.
Or an act of
He's a
terrorism.
little boy. He didn't do anything wrong. Yes, he's 15, but he's still a little boy, and he's not one of the crazy people out there doing stuff.
Okay, well, he did what he did.
The teen's alleged threat was reported to the FBI by an anonymous tipster on Discord, who saw his comment during a gaming discussion on the messaging platform.
Do you own a gun?
I have a gun, yes.
Okay, so he has hands and feet. He can grab your gun and go do something.
He would never do anything like that anyway.
We don't know. We don't know
No, but I know.
Authorities tracked down the teen in the Ormond Beach area by using his Discord username, Falcon Warrior, according to an arrest affidavit.
But it's just a comment, so how is there an arrest?
The teen later admitted to authorities that he made the comment about carrying out a massacre in his school on Discord, but he and his mother insisted it was a joke.
But these games, these kids say stuff like that all the time. It is a joke to them. It's a game.
The officers think differently.
He made the charge. He's going to face the consequences. Right? Let's go. Thank you.
Who among these kids do you think deserved what they got? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Thank you for watching. Until next time, stay safe.